On your tables in the middle, there is a document called a resource guide. There's one of these per table for you guys to look at. This should also be at every one of you guys' workstation. You need to put one of these together if you don't have one. This is a great tool to use for onboarding new CSRs when they come on board, and it's good for you to constantly be looking at this and updating it as things change in your business. So let's take a look, and we'll talk through some of the tools that are here, and you guys just pass it around the table as we're talking here. But let's talk about what's in the book. So when you first open it up, the first thing you could see is what we do. So you need to get your owner, your manager, your leader to help you guys put this together if you don't already have this. First of all, how many of you have something like this that says what you do? This should be the resource guide. Yeah, Brian. The documents are all in the den. Yes. Okay? So the documents, you can find all these in the den as samples, but you guys need to adapt them for your business. So you need to list out, what do I do? What types of air conditioning equipment do I work on? You know, I remember one day I walked into my call center area and I heard the people on the phone telling somebody that we didn't work on package units. Well, shame on me. We work on package units. I just hadn't educated the team that we worked on package units, right? So note to self, we created a list like this so they had it in front of them. What do we do? So make sure you've got a list like that that's very detailed, all right? The next thing is, where do we do it at? So all the specific counties, cities, municipalities you serve, you should have a list on the next page of all the different areas that we serve. So, and then I like to have a visual map too, because I think that's really helpful. So where, what does that look like on a map? Okay? So now we know what we do, and we know where we do it at. Okay? It's important for you guys because you guys, remember how I said yesterday when I was the regional sales manager, I'd always go in to a location that I was responsible for, and I always started in the call center? Because you guys know everything, right? You know what's going on. You're the pulse of that business. So one of the questions I always asked is, what kind of requests are you getting from customers that we don't currently do? Okay? How many of you get requests for things and you're like, we don't do that? Okay? That's important information for your owner to know. Because if that's happening often enough, guess what that could be telling the owner? Hello, McFly. Money. You might want to consider doing this if we don't already do it. Owners in the room, would that be helpful for you to know? If somebody's calling every single day and they're wanting, I don't know, let's say electrical services and you don't offer electrical yet, is that helpful to know? You could have enough of those requests coming in every single day that you got enough work to keep somebody busy, or you need to go out and find a strategic partner to form an alliance with. With me? Yes. So you guys need to have a way that you feed this information, whether it's a report right in, where you track your conversion. Maybe at the bottom it says, request services we do not offer. So we need to make sure we can get that information in a way that feeds to our managers. All right. Oh, the other thing on area of service that I wanted to talk about. This is something I think that we should look at as we look at, how we kind of dispatch calls too. This map can expand and contract depending on seasonality. So if it's a slower time of the year, I might choose to expand out my service area. I'm fishing in a deeper pond. If it's a really busy time, I might be pulling that in a little bit, because I want to run more calls, and if I have route density, I can do that. So this map should be looked at, and we should be having zones, like if we're, and we'll talk about a system called a DEFCON system, so we'll talk a little bit about that. But if I'm in a DEFCON 5 situation, which is, man, I'm busy, I'm firing on all cylinders, then maybe I'm not taking calls way down here in Cumberland in my example. Maybe I say I don't want calls there, okay? Make sense with me so far? Everybody tracking? Yeah. All right. The next thing that's here is the 3-day call board. And I want to go back and just visit on this a little bit more. If you guys do not have this tool in your business, this is one of those that I say it's a must do. You guys have to get this up in your business. It eliminates so many things once you have this running, because now you always know what you've got coming up. and where you need to be focused on filling the board. You're not having to put callers on hold to check with dispatch. You have a visual system to do it. The other thing I'll say about the 3-day board is that I'll get to you in just a second, Brian, by the end of today, tomorrow should be filled at 100% capacity. The second day should be filled at about 50% capacity, and the third day should be filled at about 25% capacity. That's your targets. Now, a lot of people say, oh, the 3-day board needs to be, filled, but what they don't tell you is how you kind of stage that in. Now, if I'm in today and I'm not at capacity, I'm looking at tomorrow and I'm pulling calls over and bringing them forward. Because here's what we know, guys, is that there's only, we don't sell heating, air conditioning, commercial kitchen. We don't sell that stuff. Does anybody know what we sell? Service. And time. There's only 24 hours in a day. God gave us that. That's all there is that's available. We can't create more time. Our job is to fill the board with the most profitable opportunities and to make sure that today is filled. Because once it's gone, that day's gone forever. We can never, ever, ever get that day back. So we have to come to work each day with a sense of urgency that we're going to keep our road warriors busy. With me? And this is the tool we use to do it with. This is the tool that we'll use to make decisions too when we talk about dispatching and how we prioritize. So I always look at it this way. A CSR's job, put that hat on, their job's to say yes, to book the calls that are coming in. They provide that world-class service experience. You heard Mike talk about this yesterday. The dispatcher's hat is to figure out all the chaos. Two very different skill sets. So it's a lot of times, I know smaller companies, I had to do it myself. I had to put on my CSR hat, and then I had to make a very, conscious mindset change to put on my dispatcher's hat, because there will be times where we'll have to pick some of these calls and reschedule them. If we're not having to reschedule calls from time to time, we're not using a priority dispatching system. That's what it tells me. We should be in that position from time to time. It's no fun to call somebody and say, I need to reschedule you. But we're going to give you some language on how you go about doing that the right way.